Let's see how long I can record this. I'm not very good at doing self videos, and forgive me if I'm not emotional or if I don't break down at the right time or anything. But I felt compelled to record this. And I may or may not put it on YouTube, and I may or may not erase it, I'm not sure. And forgive me if I'm not very articulate. But here it is. We're going to enter our darkest hour, but there is going to be hope on the other side. I don't know what it looks like, but the idea is we just got to trust the Lord through all of this. It's Good Friday, and it's a celebration of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Now, if you're a Christian, you believe that God came in the flesh as the Son of God, or as God in the flesh, that he lived 33 years, and that he went to the cross and died, but that he wasn't dying just for the sake of it, but he was actually bearing the sins, all the sins that you and I have ever committed, and basically providing salvation for us, and that in 3 days he'll raise from the grave, and that'll be proof. The resurrection is proof. I know there's a lot of you out there that don't believe this, and I'm not putting this video out here to start a debate or internet trolls who want to, bash God or whatnot. The idea is I'm trying to talk about hope, okay? The thing that I think people don't realize about who God is and the things that are written about him is they don't understand the purity of it. There's no guile in the Lord, even in the judgment, even in the wrath. And I think if we just don't have that ability to understand that. And there's things that I don't even understand. And it's the same thing with what he did on the cross. He suffered so that we wouldn't have to eternally. But I also believe that he suffered to relate to us in our suffering. Okay? So, also, I think this Good Friday is poignant, especially when it comes to trusting in the Lord in the midst of suffering and trusting that something's going to come out of this. Okay? So, we've been in the midst of a global pandemic, okay? And so far, the coronavirus has infected more than 1 million people globally, so probably 1.5, 1.6 million. And 100,000 people, or at least more than 102,000 people, have died from the virus, and it's still counting, okay? And this is globally. Countries have been hardest hit. United States is one of the leading countries that have been hit the hardest, along with Italy and Spain. Other countries are behind us, Iran. Countries in Africa are also experiencing this. The country so far that seems to have come out of it well is China, which is where the virus originated, with about 3,000 deaths reported, or 300 deaths reported. Pretty much everything is in shutdown or lockdown or a mediation of that throughout the world. So, for instance, here in California, the state is on a shelter in place and has been for about 3 weeks. we're supposed to be sheltered in place until May 3rd. It may extend. Other states are also on lockdown or shelter in place. Businesses are closed. Events are canceled. Social distancing protocol has been set up. Hospitals are reporting deaths. New York really was hard hit with a lot of people dying of the virus, and reports of different symptoms of the virus, including lack of taste, lack of smell, high fever, coughing, respiratory illnesses. Now this new sensation where you feel like electric buzzing in your body or something to that effect, and everything. And the virus seems to hit people different ways. It especially is severe with people who have underlying conditions such as diabetes or asthma and stuff, and those people are more prone to die, especially that, and if they're over 60. But also it's hitting younger people as well. So some of them have experienced more severe cases, ended up in hospitals. And while it doesn't really affect children, some children have died too. So it's like this virus seems to surprise us each time, and it spreads like the flu. So, while it's not necessarily airborne, it spreads easily and fast. And there's been all kinds of protocol taken to ensure the safety, such as hand washing and stuff. This has caused a global economical impact, and that includes a potential depression, people losing jobs. On the other hand, other companies soaring. So online companies are soaring in profit. Companies that produce medicine or sanitary wipes or disinfectant products are soaring. Okay. I'm giving you a rundown because of what we're facing. And it's not all bad. I mean, most of it is. But at least there's glimmers of hope. So, for instance, while the death toll is climbing, the virus is still kind of a low mortality rate, and it's probably, I'd say, about 5% mortality rate, and then also 5 to 8, maybe 5 to 10% mortality rate. And there are people who are recovering from the virus. That's also climbing as well. But the situation is still scary. And me personally, going back to what I originally started off with, this has been one of the most unprecedented, terrifying things I have ever experienced in my entire life. And I'm not even, affected by the virus, personally. And I can't even say that, 100%. I mean, who knows? Who knows if Josh and I have been affected by the virus? We've taken protocols and we've taken precaution, but there's people who are popping up with COVID-19 and just so, there's a lot of anxiety, if I feel a little sore throat, or if I feel a little cough, or, I start to freak out, and I'm scared and stuff. And when this initially hit, it just hit so fast, because it wasn't just a news thing that I saw far away. This stuff hit home. It affected my job. It affected Josh's job. We're in California, where some of the first cases, we were the hardest hit. And now we're in the shelter in place, and we're feeling the effects of this. So, at one point, I had made a video, probably about a couple of weeks ago, where I just felt like we're going to die. And I even considered writing my last will and testament. But I don't know if that was maybe a little extreme. There's signs that the sheltering in place are working. the projected numbers that initially came out for deaths in the United States are actually lower than what they expected. They were thinking that 100 to 200,000 people would die of COVID-19, but now it's, a little bit more, it's less. And there seems to be indications that the shutdown is working. But that doesn't mean that we're out of it yet. And I just have this sense that we're going to enter our darkest hour, meaning we're going to see, of course, we're going to see more deaths. And even if you turn on the news now, you're hearing about the continual deaths and everything. But knowing that it's Good Friday and knowing that God is in control, and that's something that the Lord has been teaching me in these weeks. He's taught me to kind of let go of the world, let go of holding on to the things, and having to trust in Him in this, and having to trust Him even when it doesn't feel like He's there. But that's the one thing that He's taught me. And so this Good Friday, I'm starting to realize that we can trust Him, that we're entering our most darkest hour, but there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. We're going to come out of it okay. We're going to come out of it okay. I don't know what that's going to look like, and that may not necessarily mean that by this weekend we'll be out of it. It might be another year or whatever. But somehow I sense that He's going to take us through this, and, we're going to be okay. He's going to take us through this pandemic globally, and He's going to lead us through it and out of it in His time. And we have to trust Him, whatever that outcome's going to be, And that's a scary thing, but when you get to seek God and you get to see the motives behind why He does what He does, you start to see purity in it. There's no guile, and there's no ill intent. Now, of course, if I put this on YouTube, I'm going to get a whole bunch of people trolling me and saying all kinds of stuff, and that's fine, because that's what people do. You say one thing and people love to rip into you on the internet. But that's what I've discovered in my walk with Him. And when you know that that person's there for you, and when you see their pure intentions, you know you can trust them. This is not something where He's having us go through this just for ill intent. Now, again, I can't say that I know everything, okay? I can't answer why people have died. I can't answer why some children have died, or why these families were taken by the virus. I can't answer that. And I know it sounds stupid to say this in light of those things, at least according to those people who hear it. And please don't think that I have all the answers. I don't. I'm still on this faith journey. And there's going to be times where I doubt. And in this moment, I'm in a high faith moment. But I have my moments. So these last few weeks, I've cried, and I've been depressed, and the news doesn't help it, and I'm sure that I'm going to need therapy afterward. But even if you don't agree with me, I'm trusting the Lord, because I know He went through suffering. He's going to help us through this. So, anyway, that's all I have to say.